yeah, talk about platform first AI. But first, I just want to have a quick moment to remember Alana. We would have seen at the intro yesterday that she passed away last week. She was in our team for 5 years. Much loved. She'd do anything for anybody. And yeah, she'll be very, very sorely missed. There are details in the Drupal diversity and inclusion Slack of how to contribute to a GoFundMe to remember her legacy and make sure that her wishes are carried out. So yeah, it's left a big hole this week. So on to more fun stuff, AI. I'm going to talk a lot about what AI is behind the scenes and not really cool things that people are doing with AI, because I don't have time to do cool things with AI. AI is really easy to demo. You can get really cool stuff and you can see translations and tagging and image classification and search. It's really hard to do behind the scene. You've got things like security, compliance, cost, procurement, speed of change. You build something, it's out of date the second you've published it. So, and we're obviously a platform company. What business have we got building AI products and AI tools? We obviously use a lot of AI behind the scenes. But when we approach this, like, how do we do AI in the most Amaziio, most Lagoon way possible? So we went from a platform first approach. This is what we do. We do platforms for web hosting. Why don't we do platforms for AI? And then we can start building stuff on top of that. So sort out auth, budgets, users, RBAC, all that kind of stuff to allow us to build stuff, but more importantly, customers to build stuff on top of what we're giving them and bring the same kind of thinking as we've got for Lagoon and Amaziio to the AI space. So making those AI capabilities repeatable. And then, because I'm paid to be here to talk about Drupal, how we showed how this works through some of our Drupal contributions, some Drupal tools, etc. But I'm going to start at the bottom of the AI stack. As I said, we've done this. We've done this for web hosting. We haven't done it for AI. So we thought, hey, this is an interesting space. We can talk about multi-tenant. We can talk about compliance. We can talk about global. These are comfortable things for us. AI is not very comfortable and wasn't very comfortable a year and a half ago. We're getting there as much as we were when AI was current 3 days ago. I've been away from the office for 3 days, so everything's probably changed since Friday. If we look at, and I stole this model a little bit from Google, if we look at like 5 levels of where AI is, you've got that core infrastructure, regions, networks, AWS, Anthropic, etc., etc. You've got sort of models that live on top of that. Every provider's got their own model, which is completely different to the other providers' models and does exactly the same thing. And computers work perfectly all the time. So on top of that model, you've got this sort of platform where we do identities, keys, billing, all the fun stuff. And then you've got agents and applications where people build stuff on top of everything that goes below. So a lot of the talks we've seen over the last couple of days have been around that application agent space. I'm going to sort of blur them together a little bit so we're not really going too far into that. That very bottom infrastructure layer, that's where we're talking about AWS, we're talking about Bedrock. What's important from us and from our customers' point of view, that's data residency, data sovereignty is really key. For us in APAC, we're lucky that Australia punches a little bit above its weight in terms of data residency requirements. If you're using Claude models on AWS, there's an inference region set up just for Melbourne and Sydney. I think the only other countries that exist for the US and Japan. Europe has like a whole of Europe inference model that excludes Switzerland unless you're in Switzerland, in which case it includes Europe, and it's very odd. So we're lucky in Australia. We're lucky that we've got the ability to keep stuff in Australia. I'm going to say Australia because New Zealand, when it suits New Zealand, is part of Australia for compliance and governance purposes, and then not when it isn't. But we'll reference this area. And be able to know that where your requests go. So if you're talking about Australia, it's going to Australia. If you're in Japan, it must go to Japan. And then those sort of non-debatables, prompt logging, no training, etc. This is what we expect from enterprise level infrastructure, so it doesn't go past what you're using it for. On top of that, you've got those kind of models. We're very familiar with the main suite of frontier models, be it Claude, be it GPT, be it Vertex, be it Gemini. We've got customers and clients all over the world, and they come to us almost every week with have you got XYZ available? Have you got the Swiss, there's a Swiss specific model, there's some specific model in Canada. Like we've been doing experimentation with non-frontier models, so trying to see if we can save 80% on token pricing by using something like Kimi instead of Claude or instead of GPT. Trying to account for this multiple provider thing. So yes, we could go all in on Bedrock and just do things that come through Bedrock, but our customers are telling us that they want something, they want a bit of flexibility, they want a bit of choice. So trying to work out how to provide that. A lot of experience comes in using fine-tuning and tailoring these models. So when we talk about cost and latency, prompt caching is the new hotness if you don't want to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on tokens, and any opportunity you can do to control that cost. So selecting cheaper models for some things and more expensive models for others. And then those kind of policies. How do we help people decide which models to use, how to use them, how to consume them? So we put this control plane in place, and we thought, hey, this is the spot for us to sit in the middle of that diagram. Doing the identity, doing the access, doing the keys, doing the credentials, sorting out budgets and billing, because is anybody here in charge of their team's AI expenditure? Is anybody here in charge of their AI team's expenditure and it sucks? Yep. Yeah. AI from all over the place. You've got Copilot usage, you've got Notion usage, you've got AI, you've got people who are using Claude even though you've told them not to. You've got that one guy who insists on using Gemini, and like it's just everywhere. So that's really hard. So budgets and billing is quite important. Managing those models, and from an enterprise, government, auditability point of view, knowing what people are doing, how they're using it, trying to make the invisible visible, etc., and generating reports that people can actually use and consume. So we thought there's a real opportunity to jump in here. So we drew a diagram. Roughly, you've got that kind of infra level, because it's Kubernetes. We love Kubernetes at Amazing.io. So we built sort of a platform stack on Kubernetes that does LLM proxying. So those models underneath come through an LLM proxy. We use light LLM at the moment, but we're designing this to try and make it as flexible as possible in case there's a new hotness. There's been 3 new hotnesses since we started doing light LLM. We're running vector DBs because one of our early pieces of research said that our users had good use cases for vector DBs. So we built a tool that can provision not only an API key, but a corresponding vector DB, so you can do better vector-based search, etc., etc. And so we put a user interface and an API on top of all that. And then that allows those top 2 layer things to come in. So managed applications, Drupal AI, direct API access. We've done a lot of work in the Drupal AI space. I'll cover that in a bit. We're starting to move into managed applications. So if anybody's ever entered a lucky draw on the Amazy booth at a DrupalSouth, you'll have probably heard about Amazy Claw that we've probably mailed everybody about. Open Claw instances running in Kubernetes, connected to Amazy AI so that people can do cool Open Claw stuff. Does anybody do cool Open Claw stuff? Has it changed your life? It's very expensive. It's very expensive. The right use case, it's incredible. I've not seen many of the right use cases yet. I've seen a lot of people do very expensive free text searching using claws, but there are good use cases out there. So OpenClaw, anything LLM, all manner of AI-powered applications that we're starting to be able to run and deploy as part of that Lagoon and Amazy.io sort of stack. And then the last couple of weeks, we've released a direct API access model. So you can get an Amazy AI key for use in your code editor, you can use it in your chatbot app, you can build your search. So it's not necessarily tied strictly to the Drupal provider. So we've got all this opportunity on the top, mostly aimed at other people generating that opportunity. We don't want to make applications for people. We'd rather do that middle layer where we're comfortable. Yeah, so basically the model, so the LLMs in the infra layer, all we're doing is putting a proxy in front of those, but we're proxying multiple models from multiple places. It's not part of this, but someone from sales would be happy to talk to you about that. But yeah, like that is an option. We could proxy that through the same place and host models. So that's something that we want to be able to do, again, through the same interface. So if you're managing your models, you can manage your users through the same place. And this is part of that vendor agnosticity. So talk a little bit about users and teams. If anybody's used Lagoon, Amazing.io, or GovCMS, we've got an RBAC system in there. It's a pretty similar thing that we've done in the Amazing.io space. You've got sort of admin, you've got creator users, you've got viewers. So some people can create keys and some people can manage teams and some people can just do the audit stuff. The idea is we've got this kind of team and organization concept. So you can allocate people, you can allocate regions, you can let certain people do certain things. If you've got a global team, you've got an APAC team that can only pick APAC models. You've got a Canadian team that can only pick Canadian models. So it's trying to help people understand and organize and bring all that stuff together. Billing and budgets, obviously quite important. So being able to set spend limits, quotas, at either the key, the user, the team, or the organization level, and combinations of it to try and prevent budget overruns. I shared yesterday in the OpsBoff that I was the recipient of an AWS spend notification for $150,000 overnight on Kimi, which is impressive given its lower cost model. Turns out we're one of the few people in the world at this stage that were consuming Kimi 2.5 via Mantle on Bedrock, and AWS had keyed the unit price wrong in their global cost calculator. So they'd overcharge us by a factor of 1,000. This was on the 27th of the month as well, and AWS are taking time to get back to it and say, if this bill lands in my email in 4 days' time, we're going to have a very, very sad week. Surprisingly, they ran billing and it all fixed itself because they must have discovered they had a super profitable model. But trying to protect people from that. That sort of bill shock, that kind of runaway. We've seen the scare story. We've heard people, I left my OpenClaw running and now I've got a $45,000 bill and it's deleted all my production data. So trying to help people do that. The whole world around token pricing and token consumption is changing so fast. We settled on Copilot as our AI of choice at Amazing.io 4 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, they announced that they're changing their pricing model. I'm not sure what our AI provider of choice is now, but the token pricing is going to be really important to get right. Rate limiting, abuse prevention, predictable costs for procurement. Anybody that works in government knows that predictable cost for procurement is a main tenet of most of these things. So trying to work out how do we set those limits, how do we roll over budgets particularly. So if someone's paying us $1,000 a month, are we billing them $1,000? If they underrun, what happens? So trying to work those things out in advance because that's what our customers want, that's what our customers expect. We're working on models, so obviously a new model comes out every day, every couple of days. Trying to help steer people through a bit of that. So we can help guide models towards individual users, teams, etc., set policy around those regions. One of the things we did for the Drupal AI was set up model aliases to try and future-proof people's apps. So there's a model that always points to the latest version of Claude Sonnet or Haiku or whatever. as a convenience function for people to not have to redo whatever tools they're using every single time there's a new release of a model. And then, yeah, agents, frameworks, etc. So we got OpenAPI compatible APIs, OpenAI compatible APIs, decoupling the platform from the agents. And this is something that we're starting to see. Claude, you now can't use Anthropic API or you can't use non-Anthropic APIs with Claude code. And there's going to be a really weird stage where the vendor-specific tooling becomes sort of a lock-in. And we're going to see more and more people moving to open code or to the Charm tools or to Pi or any of those kind of alternatives that give people a little bit of flexibility, a little bit of choice. So making it OpenAI compatible is kind of the de facto standard these days. But giving people the choice to be able to build whatever tool they want. And again, setting that same budget cap audit log, whether you're using open code or whether you're building a chatbot or whether you've got some kind of vector search going on. And yeah, basically, we're looking for people to come and build apps and build integrations and build tools on top of our platform using everything that comes before it. We're a Drupal, we've got our roots in Drupal, so Drupal's our first love and our first goal. But we're seeing a lot of movement in Drupal agencies who are building non-Drupal things. So Laravel, we've had Laravel integrations, we've done Symfony integrations, we've started talking to WordPress people. We looked at Typo, but Typo's super specific about how they do some of these things. But there's more than Drupal opportunity here. Of course, why would anyone choose anything that wasn't Drupal? Because Drupal obviously is the word. Drupal AI. So if anyone's done a Drupal AI demo from the Drupal AI Try Drupal page, we're powering those demos on Amazee.io. So if you go there and say, I really want to try the user experience, the search, or there's like 3 or 4 options, content editing, compliance stuff. Those demos spin up an environment in Amazee.io powered by Amazee AI. I'm getting better at saying that combination. It's still not easy, but you can pick a region, you can build it, trial it, keep it. Obviously that's a lead generation exercise for us, but it's also a really good opportunity for people to kick up a nice, simple way to see what Drupal can do with AI. And there's a real gulf between what people think they can do easily, what they can do easily, and what actually resonates with the people they're trying to show. My first goal was to try and set up a Drupal AI-powered search, and I fought against it for ages. What was most successful for me was adding French to the Umami demo. I added French to the language and translated 2 or 3 of the pages in seconds. Nodes, the whole page was perfect, all the regions, the text, the pictures, everything. I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. That's really easy to do. That resonated with me and the people that we were doing the demo. So it's a good opportunity for people to go and show it. So we're really, really supportive of the Drupal AI. We're heavily involved in the Drupal AI initiative. We've got 2 or 3 team members who spend a lot of their time working on the community side. We've obviously got the providers and the recipes we're working in there too. Yeah, we're seeing some of these implementations starting to come out from the Drupal AI initiative. So alt text generation, conversational search, vector DB stuff, document Q&A. These are stuff that our customers are deploying on their sites through the Drupal AI modules, through the work that we've done on the Amazee AI providers, right into our tooling and based on our platform. For those that may have been following us closely, we built a private AI assistant last year. This was our first foray into how can you use this stuff. It was really cool. It was basically, it was a very similar experience to most web chat interfaces, but it was different because it was run completely on our platform, had the same enterprise compliance underpinnings as the rest of the sites running on Amazee.io. Its time has been and gone. You've got to kill your darlings, but it's a really good exercise in what Drupal can do. We use Drupal as the base for this interface, so Drupal comes with media, RBAC, GraphQL, all that stuff to manage the back end of a tool. We put LangChain, LangGraph in front of it, and then Chainlit as a chat interface on top. And it was a really good exercise for the team in understanding how data flows, how optimization works, how model choice is significant. It was that real give the team something meaty to play with as a way of understanding better what our customers and our clients can do with this. So although it doesn't live anymore, it was a really, really great way for the team to fully understand the potential of what we were building. It's broadened into a bit of a wider strategy. So we're looking at these AI-enabled apps to give people control, choice, privacy, the API gateway, which we've talked about. It's a way to sign up and just get keys to put into your apps to do whatever you need to do with them. We've got the amazing Claw. We run a fleet of these inside the organization. We've had a couple of interesting, from a fleet ops point of view, we've been experimenting with using an open Claw instance with tightly scoped access, caveat, to be able to do that kind of free text queries that previously only CLI ninjas or GraphQL gurus could do. How many instances have I got in the US region? Which of my projects haven't been deployed in the last 5 years? If I was going to update 3 instances, which one should I do first? This is the kind of stuff it's really good at, given tight controlled access, given strict parameters, and having to consider things like prompt injection, having to consider data leakage, etc. So baby steps there. And anything LLM is basically what we've replaced the private AI assistant with. It's a pretty decent chat experience, fully integrated into the Amazee AI and Amazee IO ecosystems. So it lives on top of the same governance, it's got the same controls, it's got the same protections as the rest of our tools. The Drupal teams, well, I say Drupal teams, the people at Amazee IO who know Drupal, because we don't do much Drupal development, have done a lot of sort of experiments in this space. A couple of them have hit production for customers as paid work, so multi-query rags. There's a bit of work on like sourced answers, additional context, closed system chatbots. Dimitris has got the sort of prototype of an AI monitoring module up on Drupal.org that can capture and Drupal log events and do a bit of AI work in that space that I don't know if it's ever going to make a stable version, but it's really good as a sort of a, this is what could be done. And he's also done some work on auto evals and LLM as judge, which starts to confuse me deeply, but it makes sense when he explains it. And then I walk away and I'm like, I don't think I understand again. But there's some modules out on Drupal.org that sort of go through for people that are interested in that kind of stuff. For us, why did our platform first approach pay off? We could have jumped headfirst into building cool AI stuff all over the place, but it would have been a bit of a scattered hodgepodge of some people moving fast and building stuff here and some people moving there. From our point of view, having this platform for our use internally first, and then as something we could see the value of, and it went from being something that was helpful for us to build the tools we need to something we could see our customers needing, and it met that kind of the same way as we developed Lagoon as a way to scratch our own itch. We realized that this was scratching our own itch as well, and it's very useful for our customers. So we could do that experimentation, we could see where it's going. Building all of these tools, so the private AI assistant, Amazee Claw, Drupal AI, on top of our existing infra for our customers means that they don't need to introduce new vendors, they don't need to introduce new compliance boundaries. They can get their AI from the same places they're hosting, they can run their apps in the same place, so they're not having to worry about, I put this here and that there. And it's the same origin story of why host WordPress, Drupal, Laravel sites with one hoster. It makes it really easy. We're just trying to add AI as a stream on the side. Models changing, costs changing, use cases not panning out, being able to change them without having to rework the entire stack. So if, for example, Anthropic changed the way Claude Code and Claude pricing works, we don't have to retool everything we do based on a provider's change of mind or model change or business model changing. And when things work, they're already production ready. That's kind of what Lagoon does. The stuff just works. It's going to be the same in production as dev. It's really easy to make it production ready without scrambling to retrofit stuff and work out how to unspaghetti something that you've built. So yeah, it made adoption safe for us. It made it easier for us to scale, but it gave us a product we can sell that we know our customers need. That kind of model agnosticity is one of the MVPs here, or I'm going to say most valuable player as opposed to minimum viable product. I realize how confusing that just was. But being able to consume a Claude model in the same place as a GPT model as opposed to a Kimi model, being able to hopefully host your own models and have them consumable through the same interface, the same provider, the same tooling is going to be really good to give people flexibility. And yeah, Drupal AI, I just want to thank all the people that contribute to the Drupal AI initiative, a lot of whom are based, some of whom are based here on this side of the world, but all over the world, to come together to really help the community adopt AI and take AI forwards. So yeah, try the Drupal AI trial, give it a go. Find that you can talk to us about sovereignty, governance requirements, AI, or just come downstairs to our booth, enter our competition, and you can win Yetis or Lego. And talk to us about AI, if you wish.